Tech Tales 79. Today is July 15th. It's a Thursday morning. It's 7:29 a.m. I'm going to read time slips that are from my real world billable work for my clients, and this whole series of Tech Tales playlist that YouTube calls it is for the purpose of showing people who are interested in getting into computer consulting work or becoming a technician, helping other people. This is just samples of what I do, the work that I do for my clients and bill them for. And any particular computer technician might have a really different slant in the style of work that they do or the type of things that they work on. So it's all I can do is show you what I do. Maybe that's useful, maybe it's not. If it's not, then you don't watch my videos on Tech Tales. Watch my other videos though. So here I'm reading a time slip from Saturday, July 3rd for 20 minutes. This is for the apartment building Mike Tango from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Now, 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, wait a minute. Doug, I thought you said 20 minutes. Well, what I do is I'll put in a start time and an end time, but if I'm not working solidly on that task during that time, then I'll put in what's called a break time. QuickBooks Online gives me a field where I can put in an amount of time that's called a break. So it's kind of an estimate, really, and I try to be as reasonably accurate as I can. So between those hours, I did 20 minutes worth of work, and this was on these computers that I've shown in my other videos. I've got 5 of these in my office right now, or well, my home, and this is 2 of them on this desk right now. So this is actually the computer I'm referring to as Resident 1, even though I have a number 2 up here, because when I first started working on it, I thought it was computer number 1. Later I realized it was computer number 2. The distinction is without meaning, really. So that was just a wipe and reload. Didn't need to save anything that was on the computer. This was for the residents' use in this apartment building. They don't store content on it, or they're not supposed to. If they do, it's totally not protected or not going to be saved. And these computers were all at various different states of not working very well. So the plan is to wipe and reload and use a different method this time to improve the way that they can operate for the residents. And I have other videos on my channel about that called lab work. A lab work video that was done it was about Microsoft Store. It's titled something about Microsoft Store earlier than this video, if you want to see that. So then let's go on to the next week. I've got to switch the dates up here to go to the next week because that was the last time slip for that week. So here's the Law Office Whiskey on Sunday, July 4th, 17 minutes. Well, I mentioned earlier about what other technicians might do. Well, other technicians might not work on Saturdays or Sundays or after hours. I do. That doesn't mean that I'm more a workaholic. I actually have quite a bit of casual sort of free time, what I call free time when I'm not working, when I'm not billable, when I'm not working on even a personal task or chore, when my time is legitimately free. Well, some people say, hey, when you have free time, could you do such and such? And they're implying that free time is somehow less valuable. I highly value my free time. If I were to put a dollar value on it, it would be higher than the amount that I charge to my clients for an hour of work. Because free time for a person is very valuable, and I cringe when people say, hey, if you have some free time, can you do such and such? Well, free time is not just given away freely. It's leisure time is a better word. It's not free. 6:16 a.m. to 6:33 a.m. on that Sunday morning for Juliet in the office. He's the attorney that owns the business. Moved emails with large attachments to long-term storage. Noted recent emails rejected due to excessive size of attachments. Attempted to enable OneDrive for sharing large files, unable due to apparently reset password. So this client is one of those people who, when they go to try to log into something and it asks for their password and they get it wrong, they just go right away to reset the password. So he apparently had done that. I have a time slip later where we fix that, and I make a point to let him know that when you reset your password, it causes complications, and part of the issue is for him to understand what password he's being prompted to. So I was trying to engage OneDrive, which is part of his Microsoft 365 account. Well, his email is not hosted by Microsoft. So for instance, if he tries to go to Outlook on his laptop, which has Outlook from his Microsoft 365 account, and he gets prompted to enter a password, he assumes that's his email password. This is probably what happened. So he tries putting in his email password and it fails. So then he does the reset password prompt and goes through reset password, and what he doesn't realize is that that prompt was actually a prompt for Outlook 365, the license. And that's a totally different account. That's his Microsoft account, but it uses as the name, as the username of the Microsoft account, it uses his email address. The username for the Microsoft account looks like his email address, but this is not his email account. His email account is hosted by Network Solutions, completely different company. It's a confusing thing for him. He's a brilliant attorney, so he's a smart man, but he's got that firewall block to his mind on computer subjects. And if I spent more time with him, yeah, he would probably come to understand it, but he gets frustrated that he's not interested in spending the time on that. So we just try to fix it and move on. Then the excessive size, I've reported that a few times with them. So what happens is, and they didn't come to me and ask, Doug, how should we handle this working remotely when we need to deal with these very large files? Well, I would have assumed that they would just put the large files on their server. They all have access to the server. They're all connecting remotely to the server. They have access to those files. Unbeknownst to me, what I've learned now after this time slip, just learned it within the last couple days, is instead of telling each other that a file is in a particular folder by sending an email to each other or a phone call, what they've been doing is they've been sending the document as an attachment to an email. 20 megabytes, 50 megabytes, 90 megabytes. Yesterday, I saw one at 144 megabytes, an attachment to an email trying to be sent. That's too large. Many mail servers have a 10 megabyte limit. Well, their mail server doesn't put a limit on the size of attachments that they can send, so it tries to send it. But their email accounts only have a 1 gigabyte size, and now we're relying more on their IMAP email account so that their email can come to the computer at their desk in the office and come to their remote computer at home natively into Outlook, so that they can choose either to connect remotely to the office and use Outlook there, or they can use Outlook on their home computer. But they're still emailing attachments, huge attachments, so their mailboxes fill up. And I asked the other day about storing the files on the server where they belong, and the problem then is they haven't figured out how to communicate by email to another person which file they're referring to. What are they going to do? Type out the whole path and the precise email name? Well, it would be easier for them to put a link in the emails, but they don't understand how to do that. And I was experimenting with that yesterday and go, oh, wait a minute. that doesn't quite work as easily as I thought it would for putting a link in an attachment, a link in an email. So you send the email to another person who has a remote connection to their office computer. Theoretically, they could click on the link in the email and just open that document, but that didn't work quite how I was expecting it to. So I'm experimenting with I experimented yesterday with a couple other ways of doing it, and I need to have a conference call with 2 key persons in that office that I think is going to help me understand better under what circumstances are they doing this. And this is the office also that I reported recently. I think I recently talked about their time slip for the copy machine. No, that wasn't recent. We still have to come to that. It has to do with, in trying to make the size of these attachments smaller, I checked into it. Their attachments are 500 kilobytes per page. That's way too high. So I discovered that the copy machine is set to scan at 300 dots per inch. That's not an explanation for that large of a file size, but they're scanning full color. That's what makes the file size so large. So I, in my wisdom as a computer technician, switched the copy machine to scan in grayscale, 300 dots per inch, and I sent an email to the appropriate people explaining that, and the one that's more of the long-term office manager for the business responded, no, we can't do that. We need full color because we treat these as our alternative to the actual physical original. So we need to see signatures in blue. We need to see things that are written in the margins in blue ink. We use colored ink intentionally. So I switched it back and then started working, okay, we got to find some other way to deal with this because we can't be emailing 100 megabyte attachments back and forth. So I've kind of given you an idea of the content of other time slips that are going to be coming up for them. This time slip was from a couple weeks ago, 9 days ago. So it's kind of just the start of this, and I'm explaining a little bit about my understanding and work on the subject as of today. So I think that'll do it for this edition, and I hope that was useful. Catch you later. Goodbye.